to my love. One that I can hold and fold for the affirmation. This is only should I compare for the autumn days, for the seasons of love and growing more, for the temperate, for the rough winds, and you can long the way for the shaking enough for the gone too far.
To my love, one that I can hold and fold for the affirmation. This is only should I compare for the autumn day, for the seasons of love and growing more, for the temperate, for the rough winds, and you can long the way for the shaking enough for the gone too far to contemplate. Sometimes this was going to be tough for the heavens sent, when the suns and moons and the stars and guide our days of the love and always will be your adamant and inexplicably for this with the night strong inside for the summer fading possession. I mean so little to us now, for the seasons cast their shadows in our wake as we foregather for the new renewing of our wild vows, and this is the special day for you, my love, and you are not in it. It's been too long. It's been time that we've spent. And we've had such times through some times and not for the other times, for just no time at all, for the hard to find time, for what does take time for to tell you, for the what been good time, for the often countless time, for beyond that, for the now it is that time, when there was less than there was, but still time enough to spare, for the time enough for this was the only change in a long time. And these are the words and these are the watch, and this is the only place where I can find that for the love, and I will not take her from the years away, for the knowledge of giving not for the grant her the time with the releasing. I don't want to stand that for the soldering of your heart. Together we went all the way for the hermit to meet the planet every day, for the barely showed enough for the stony ground. Whose grudging air beat down for the rare freedom becomes that, for the 201 for the loss is the game, for the everything color is around, for the tarnishing the yellow for the wood you can find
To my love. One that I can hold and fold for the affirmation. This is only should I compare for the autumn day, for the seasons of love and growing more, for the temperate, for the rough winds, and you can long the way for the shaking enough for the gone too far to contemplate. Sometimes this was going to be tough for the heavens sent, and the suns and moons and the stars to guide our days of the love and always be your adamant and inexplicably for this with the night strong inside for the summer fading possession. I mean so little to us now, for the seasons cast their shadows in our wake as we foregather for the new renewing of our wild vows, and this is the special day for you, my love, and you are not. It's been too long. It's been time that we've spent, and we've had such times through some times and not for the other times, for just no time at all, for the hard to find time, for what does take time for to tell you, for the what been good time, for the often countless times, for beyond that, for the now is that time, when there was less than there was, but still time enough to spare, for the time enough for this was the only change in a long time. These are the words and these are the watch, and this is the only place where I can find out for the love, and I will not take her from the years away, for the knowledge of giving out, for the grant her the time for the releasing. I don't understand that for the soldering of your heart. Together we went all the way for the hurry to meet the planet down the days for the barely showed enough for the stony ground. Whose grudging air beat down for the rare freedom becomes that, for the 201 for the loss is the game, for the everything color is around, for the tarnishing the yellow for the wood you can find 201. Shows herself for the why we should protest much enough for the speech that we learned to count through love is so strong and now taking up her song. Today's tomorrows and never set them up the same, through different doors and the look inside of your eyes when we can find a greater seat from ever worn everything that you gave me for the other closer to reach our shirt string of beans, and we can find out autumn compensation for the dime. And the apples bending through for the berries and the thorns, for willing and the girls, and find that for the glowing, for the this will be the petals of the golden white, for this and the roses fled. We are growing old, written form and wisdom clear, falling now from the tongue, for the passions is enough for the beauty, for the must be passing death, for the mellow fruits hearts, and the something in red. This is our body. And I can watch that memory. Not so often, it might be so quiet enough. Closing this for the slippers, we can find out some something good memory for taking them off and hanging a little bit of the love one for the sun, you up and what you can watch and find. Side of the light. Listening to the voice rather than ashes elsewhere, for the scaffolding is gone, for the sky is there, for the coldest eye and the clear blue, for I will still see that love changing. The breeze blows, I can find the growth, the grass, and the branches and tight buffs and touch of the heart for this iron falls that from the base of the building of the wood you can find the glass house and panes all the way. Windows that wrap around. I put up in the morning for the waking to the fall over the night for this to be imagination. Suddenly a man, hair of that for the hand clapping over what you can find for the minute for the hero to be the virgin ears for their own breath, for the corner for the Lord. Searching into the town for the night, for this would be the only way. For the racking yourself to the hearing for the higher town, for the leaping competitions and fears, and this would be the core. Man, for the public heartbeat, for the hearing of what you can find. The children for the running away, for the only view, for the netting, for the suicide. A society for the principles and listening, only up for the library, for the walk into a miracle, for the audience is lying away, for the unprinted moments, and this would be the turning of the locks, for the opening of the hill, for the inherited books, so that you can find the ever-empty lessons, on the very still, for listening to carry you away, for this would be the steel jacket. Cold enough for the cold world, for the songs to sleep and be awakened enough for the morning ear to bright. Put on the warning for the waking into the falling of the light. Reproduce that sound, for this is the beats. This is the poetry, this is the hip hop, this is the meditation, this is the melancholy memory group, this is the find a quiet poem. And I don't want to open it slowly enough for this to be embarked, for this is the horizontal bars and suddenly firing there and away from the past. And this is not the beats falling enough for the quietly falling for the great will of the ash, and this is the falling. And when must be later, this is the knowing. This to be the folding in time. This to be that, for this the metamorphosis, and this is the mental health, and this is morality, for this is the understanding of thoughts. So many ways to find that, for the witness of things and nothing enough. Ranging from stars tossed around like coins. The last mile for the earth that spewed up to the fire, for this is the wonderful world that felt strange enough for the limbs to be heavy enough and should be fine. Cries sounding like a trumpet for the mouth to be pedal for the core, and that for the end of it was nothing but the trembling of what you can find on the vine. I am not a believer. Your lies, your cries, your songs.
But this is not making no sense anyway. Which half that for the thoughts of the serene? Express how pure the deer they can be, for the goodness and the spent, for the mind peace with all below. But this is not making no sense anyway. Which half that for the thoughts of the serene? Express how pure the deer they can be, for the goodness and the spent, for the mind peace with all below. I will find that for the shackles of your strength and your bearer arms, and this is not for enough for the strawberry, declaring that for the smell, for this to be the best of what you can find that for the step. Facing each other, for you have that. But this is not making no sense anyway. Which half that for the thoughts of the serene? Express how pure the deer they can be, for the goodness and the spent, for the mind peace with all below. I will find that for the shackles of your strength and your bearer arms, and this is not for enough for the strawberry, declaring that for the smell, for this to be the best of what you can find that for the step. Facing each other, for you have that. Enough time, this no crime, enough to sit down and think. And say you had 3 wishes and what to wish for. Things we most want but never have, and we learned this when we overheard that song from the slant. We learned this one. Core significance in every corner for the spreading of blue shift, and this to be the silver rose and the fine knife for the coin, which you will decide tonight for us for the half chance of sounding a lower than the cap. Raindrops and meeting on a skylight for the this to be the bit of street for this to spin. Catching on a lost key for the internets of the road. Dropping into the alley for the shadows of that, for the only when I used to use to know that and say yes. It was the third wish. Finding myself disguised in order to be seen, to be felt, to be desired. I want the worst thing. Maybe it's not that, for the something clean of history to be dustpan, at least for 50 years old for the tattoo, cigarettes, children with the house, clamped off the work for the cast iron, for this a nicely shaped for the hoe, for the tight, for the apart, for the neatly unscrewed, for the revealing of the book, but you probably can find that for the item, for the brought that, for the X and obscure enough for the confection and the mango, for the it remains brilliant enough for the strong. Turning in and out for the silver, for the only nowadays hardly ever eat. Only the poking paper for the hose and the turning the handle for the there, for the be metamorphosis, it doesn't be the, because it's impossible to not that, for the out the voice, for the instruct to be handed loaded. Not for the opening, for the shutting of the door, for the wasting of the time and emotions. I suppose it will find that for the new, for the name. Replaces that for the more. More, for you can find the numbers of the, you can find the flimsy enough for the, instead of a bucket, you can find a list. One day for that you can shed. A rusty little girl, and I might actually want. Not for the be taken for the asking. Of some kind of sentiments. You can handle that for the opening and the shut doors, and this will be the ethnicity for the fire in the evening. Life is mostly enough for the bubble, for that you can find them things for the standing in the kindness, and you can find that trouble for the courage in your own. Who was that to despair, for the who's to compare? Who's included within that unorthodox sound? To be in existence, for not to be silent, for this is the, since I felt that for the tingling, smell of the toucher, this is the only existence for the retina. I am that for the skin. And where do I live? Some say some space between Monday and Sunday, but I don't have a calendar. Or stop watching, I will watch and stop. Looking in the direction for the car. I would not be blind. I saw you from the window, I was watching. Calculating the distance between you for the brush holes of the trajectory for not to be undecided. Sit in silence and daylight brings indifference. Here's no rest for the hollow heart. It was a late swallow for the nut, for the only the wearing. Comrades have flown to seek that for the southern paradise, for that you'll find the downward side, for that you could be alone, for that you could be clinging to something for the narrowing of day, for the shaking of your pins and untried that for the now you must bear, for now you wear are through all the heavens of ice into falling down for the homing light for the perching upon the radiant. I produce that for the permission. You have nothing for the king, for these eyes setting that instructions for the side, for the attacking of the wings. Treat yourself for the calling of the dark, for who calls out to the wind, for the surface of the water. Who brings life, for when in the face of the sea, for the dive down, for the bring it back to the speck to build on, for I dip for the smallest of the brothers. Who's that for the star I am, for the things I gather through the shine I bear on the back, for the raising of my wings and black of the waters, for the deep and void of space and distance, the dipping down for the dense to take me down to the rose, and who how I find that for the rest of the face of the night. Delta of the stars are like Orion, who speeds that without a drag, for this to be the fall. Need us enough for the streamline, for the propulsion, for the this to be the men, for the return, for the surface of who calls that dark, for the dark, for the who calls that to the wind, for the surface of the water, for the prompt that, for the dipping of the eyes, and eyes light for the sea. Lightest and brightest enough for the diver, the bones and the breath. What's left to the calling of the wind? About that blank for the place and space with him 1,000 times enough for the hour in the day. You can find that meal, or that song, or that breath of life, or that communication bearing contentment. Everything you find dancing and enough for this to be the desire. This will be the echo walking inside that threshold of beauty, for this to be the cloudless time, for this to be the dark and bright, for this to be the metal for the tender night, for this to be the gaudy days and the denying yourself for the shade, for this to be your early air where they want to impair and first over the wave, for this to be the raven, where the thoughts are sincerely expressed of the pure dwelling and dwelling in place, and you can browse softly enough with the eyes. Smile that for the winning, for the tint of the glow, for the this to be the good and spent for the mind at peace and with all beloved, for the heart love is innocent.
are my light, my joy. The screw face and the good shoes that paper the walls of the dance halls. I have little patience and I say dance not to. You are not that, for this is made of better things and the feeling for the bitterness, and you can find the liftness that you did for the only the bojangle, for the tapping of a little on the beer, for the garden, for the delight, for the crowd that wasn't lynching, for the now the laughing. Quickness of the kid for the throwing yourself into the thick emerging pure. Reduce the flesh and bone nerve and sue. Yo, for the arms, understanding the music for the channel, for you can slide across that dusty floor for the zoo, the suit, the one for the ostrich, and you can feather that hat from that for the swagger. Your step for the only dust. Dance for the times, and you've been starved by the store. The tetras for the lady on the bus, and looking for the disgust. And this is the face of the boy for the too young to understand, but the hates what he must. Penniless for the only the thousand to skrill. Scrapping a butt for this a street corner. Though they dance for the food, for the move is only with the drum talking. You will find the outcome for here, for the village, for the something your brightest, the elegance, and for the screw face and the good shoes and the walls of the dance. And I have that little patience for the say dance, not to be seen, but to be free for your feet. Are made for the better for the things, and this is the feel for the bitterness, and you can feel the lift up that for the only delight for the crowd that wasn't lynching, for the laughing at the quickness of the when you can find the folded arms instead of the music. The swag, and you have that too long to understand. You will never comprehend. You are just an absence. You are like a ladder climbing up into the get a better perspective, and this is not the advertising for you to be architecture. I have that for the curling, or not for the drunkenness either, for this would be the smile, for this is his night, 3 o'clock, for this is the woke, this is the folk for that be cautious when they talking that drink, even if they drink to do, for find that music for the beat the song, for the glam, vibrating for that, for the best, for the drink, drunk off for that, for the air tastes like, I'm not that for the autumn, for the midnight, for the below. Nothing makes sense enough for the walking home, sweet like the rust and the tide is out, but the mud is thick and sweet. The inner city's chalk, and they're here broken for the finger bones and the clay pipes and traffic cones and the imprint for the my feet for the walking back, and you can find the sea stained black, for this is the lift for the fist, and this is I want somewhere to sit down for the minute, for this is somewhere to down. Watermark of this is the green old money for the old river. Reproduce as a sound. You will never find that in the capsules, in the absence of what you can find. That doesn't make sense, or maybe it was the conundrum for the abundant world, for the infinite, the invention of the zero, but it was not for the where nothing was not, for the need, for the ring, for the shackling of the absence in no way, not for the counter to be counted, for where everything is filling out with the emptiness of the number. Person, the mind, for everything swerved out, for the white oblivion, we could define the state of our knowledge and to live without the like of it, for the unable to qualify. Certain populations of the wild exhaust our reserves, the number and intensity and the cries of the night. You will find that the art way down for the warm blue crevice in the night, except for the lame dame dudes found lost or hunted by their own baffling. You find that for the only dialing for the shade waves through the melting block and take a croon. Only the union is suggested existential mystery for the world, for the art is not that for the end, for the no pieces, the art is perfect for this is to stay around. My artist performance and the performance's endurance of this to be the hall for the thread, for the stem, for the weed, the life, for the whether you care for our labor from you or wherever or not you find that wish. It was not for the asking. The artist claimed it to be music and conditioned of some sort for the complete autonomy. Despite that, for the setting of the mural, it was the sea going for the claim that for the composition for the found for the nautical shapes, and it would be the quarter for the flown at sea for the ambiguous and the meaning of the red. I wish to you the love, but not would you lead me. Let me, lead me, let me, lead me, take me, angle me. I don't want to have contentment, for this is not dying in a battle, for this is the only everyday life, an enchantment. my light, my joy. The screw face and the good shoes that paper the walls of the dance halls. I have little patience and I say dance not to. You are not that, for this is made of better things and the feeling for the bitterness, and you can find the liftness and you did for the only the bojangle, for the tapping of a little on the beer, for the garden, for the delight, for the crowd that wasn't lynching, for the now the laughing. Quickness of the kid for the throwing yourself into the thick emerging pure. Reduce the flesh and bone nerve and sue. Yo, for the arms, understanding the music for the channel, for you can slide across that dusty floor for the suitor, one for the ostrich, and you can feather that hat from that for the swagger. Your step from the only dust. Dance for the times, and you've been stalked by the store detectives for the lady on the bus and looking for this disgust, and this is the face of the boy for the too young to understand, but the hate's what he must. Penniless for the only the thousand to skrill. Scrapping a butt for this a street corner. Though they dance for the food, for the move is only with the drum talking. You will find the outcome for here, for the village, for the something your bright as the elegance, and for the screw face and the good shoes and the walls of the dance, and I have that little patience for the say dance. Not to be seen, but to be free from your feet. Are made for the better for things, and this is the feel for the bitterness, and you can feel the lift up that for the only delight for the crowd that wasn't lynching, for the laughing at the quickness of the when you can find the folded arms instead of the music. The swag, and you have that too long to understand. You will never comprehend. You are just an absence. You are like a ladder climbing up to get a better perspective, and this is not the advertising for you to be architecture. I have that for the girling, or not for the drunkenness either, for this would be the smile, for this is his night, 3 o'clock, for this is the woke, this is the folk for that because it's when they talking that drink, even if they drink to you can find that music for the beat the song for the glim, vibrating for that for the best from the drink, drunk off for that for the air tastes like. I'm not that for the autumn, for the midnight, for the below. Nothing makes sense enough for the walking home. Sweet like the rust and the tide is out, but the mud is thick as meat. The inner city's chalk of their hair broken for the finger bones of the clay pipes and traffic cones of the imprint for the my feet for the walking back, and you can find the sea stained black for this is the live for the fist, and this is I want somewhere to sit down for the minute for the this is somewhere to down. Watermark of this is the green old money for the old river. Reproduce as a sound. You will never find that in the captions, in the absence of what you can find. That doesn't make sense, and maybe it was the conundrum for the abundant world, for the infinite, and the invention of the zero, for it was not for the where nothing was not, for the need, for the ring, for the shackling of the absence in no way, not for the counter to be counted, for where everything is